The signal. Commander Elena Rice stood at the viewport of the TSV Celestia, watching the stars streak by as the exploration vessel cut through the darkness of deep space. 20 years as a space navigator, and the sight still took her breath away. The vastness of it all. Beautiful, terrifying, and humbling. Commander. The voice of Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, the ship's xenobiologist, broke through her reverie. Stella detected something unusual. You might want to see this. Elena followed Sanjay to the bridge, where Lieutenant Marcus Chen sat hunched over the communications console, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Talk to me, Marcus, Elena said, resting a hand on the back of his chair. It's a signal, Commander. Weak but definitely artificial. Stella picked it up on our long-range scanners. Marcus gestured to the waveform pulsing across his screen. It doesn't match any known human transmission pattern. Elena felt her heart quicken. Stella, analysis. The ship's AI responded in her calm, measured voice. The signal contains mathematical sequences that suggest intelligent design, specifically prime number sequences and what appears to be a repeating pattern consistent with a distress call. Signal origin is approximately 2.3 light days from our current position in uncharted space, Sector Gamma 9. Dr. Abigail Foster, the ship's chief science officer, looked up from her own console. Gamma 9 isn't on our exploration route. We'd be deviating significantly from mission parameters. How long has the signal been broadcasting? Elena asked. Marcus checked his readings. Based on signal degradation, Stella estimates 47 years. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. 47 years. Nearly half a century of crying out into the emptiness of space. Chief Engineer Darius Jackson, who had been quietly listening from the doorway, cleared his throat. We're 3 weeks from the nearest outpost. If we divert course, we'd be cutting our supplies thin. And if it's a trap? Security Officer Valeria Torres added. The Proxima incident taught us caution. Elena studied the signal pattern dancing across the screen. Something about it tugged at her, a vulnerability in its persistence. Commander, Sanjay said quietly, we've spent decades searching for proof of other intelligent life. This could be it. Or it could be nothing. Abigail countered. A malfunctioning probe, an echo from some long-abandoned technology. Elena straightened. Decision made. Protocol dictates we report the finding and continue our mission. But protocol also grants command discretion in extraordinary circumstances. She turned to face her crew. I believe this qualifies. Plot a course, Marcus. Let's see who's been calling. The Celestia changed direction, its fusion engines pushing the ship through the darkness toward the mysterious signal. As they drew closer, tension aboard the vessel grew. Some crew members whispered excitedly about potential first contact. Others prepared defensive systems, just in case. 3 days later, Stella announced, signal source approaching visual range. The main view screen activated, showing a distant object silhouetted against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. As they closed the distance, the shape resolved into something clearly artificial, a vessel, though unlike any human design. Full stop at 10,000 kilometers, Elena ordered. Passive scans only. The alien ship was magnificent and haunting, a massive cylindrical core with arsing structures that branched outward in spiral patterns, like a blooming flower frozen in vacuum. But even from this distance, they could see the damage. Entire sections were torn away, exposing the internal structure to the void of space. No signs of active propulsion, Marcus reported. Minimal power signatures. Whatever hit them, it was catastrophic. Life signs? Elena asked. Abigail shook her head. Inconclusive. The hull material is interfering with our bioscanners. Based on trajectory and drift patterns, Stella added, this vessel has been adrift for approximately 47 years, matching the duration of the distress signal. Elena studied the alien ship, imagining its crew sending out that desperate call, again and again, as systems failed around them. And they died hoping someone would come. Or had they given up long ago? We need to get aboard, she decided. Sanjay, Valeria, Darius, prepare for EVA. I'll lead the boarding party. Commander, Valeria protested. Regulations clearly state that the commanding officer should not. I know what the regulations state, Lieutenant, Elena interrupted. They also say that first contact scenarios require leadership authority. I'm going. An hour later, Elena floated in the shuttle bay as Darius checked her environmental suit seals. The engineer's dark hands moved with practiced precision, despite his obvious nervousness. We don't know what we'll find out there, he said, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. That's why we're going, Elena replied. To find out. The shuttle detached from the Celestia and maneuvered toward the alien vessel. Up close, the damage looked even worse. Massive breaches in the hull, evidence of what might have been an internal explosion or some kind of energy weapon. There's an intact section near what appears to be a docking area, Darius said, guiding the shuttle closer. I think we can cut through. Using the shuttle's precision tools, they created an entry point and established an airlock. One by one, they entered the alien ship, helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The interior was nothing like human ships. The corridors curved in elegant spirals rather than straight lines. The walls were covered with intricate patterns that seemed to shimmer faintly under their lights. There was no up or down. Walkways and hatches appeared on all surfaces, suggesting the vessel had once generated its own artificial gravity in multiple directions. Look at this, Sanjay whispered, running his gloved hand over a panel covered in flowing symbols. The design philosophy is completely different from ours. More organic. They moved deeper, following the faint power signatures Darius had detected. The damage became less severe as they progressed, suggesting whatever catastrophe had struck the ship had been localized to one section. Commander, Valeria called, her voice tense. I'm detecting movement ahead. They entered what appeared to be a vast chamber filled with hundreds of translucent pods arranged in concentric circles. Most were dark and empty, but a few still glowed with a soft blue light. Stasis chambers, Sanjay breathed, approaching one of the active pods. He wiped frost from its surface and gasped. Elena, they're alive. Inside the pod, Elena could make out a humanoid figure, slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors even in suspended animation. Its most striking features were its six-fingered hands and the delicate crown-like structure that rose from its head. Life support systems are failing, Darius reported, examining a still-functioning console. These pods are running on emergency power. Based on power degradation rates, they have perhaps days left, maybe less. Elena made the decision instantly. How many survivors? Darius checked the readings. 17 active pods, but only 7 show stable life signs. Can we transport the pods to the Celestia? The engineer studied the alien technology, his expression uncertain behind his helmet visor. I think so. They're self-contained units, but moving them risks disrupting their systems. It's that or leave them to die, Elena said. Stella, we need a medical team standing by. And inform Abigail to prepare the cargo bay for quarantine protocols. As they worked to disconnect the first pod, one of the aliens inside stirred. Its eyes, 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern, opened slowly, revealing irises that shimmered like opals. Elena moved closer, placing her hand against the transparent surface. We're here to help, she said, knowing the alien couldn't understand her words, but hoping somehow her intent would come through. The alien raised one 6-fingered hand weakly, touching the inside of the pod where Elena's hand rested on the outside. Its skin pulsed with colors that flowed like water, blue to green to gold. I think it understands, Sanjay said quietly. Over the next several hours, they carefully transported the 7 surviving aliens to the Celestia. The medical team, led by Dr. Maya Wong, worked frantically to understand the aliens' biology and stabilize their condition as they were brought out of stasis. Elena watched from behind the quarantine barrier as Maya examined one of the aliens, the first one who had awakened, whom they had started calling First Contact, for lack of a better name. Their cellular structure is fascinating, Maya reported over the comm. It's almost as if their entire body is one interconnected system rather than discrete organs like ours. And the color shifts in their skin appear to be both involuntary responses to stimuli and deliberate communication. First Contact sat upright on the examination table, watching the humans with all four eyes. It made no attempt to flee or fight. Instead, it observed everything with what Elena could only interpret as intense curiosity. "How do we communicate?" Elena asked. "I've been running their vocalizations through Stella's linguistic algorithms," Sanjay replied, studying a tablet filled with waveform analyses. "They seem to communicate through both sound and color patterns. It's complex, but Stella thinks she can create a basic translation matrix if we gather enough samples." First Contact suddenly spoke, a series of musical tones accompanied by rapid color shifts across its skin. It pointed to itself and repeated a specific sequence. "I think it's telling us its name," Sanjay said. Elena stepped closer to the barrier. She pointed to herself and said clearly, "Elena." The alien's colors shifted to a warm golden hue. It repeated a sound that approximated Elena, and then made the musical sequence again while pointing to itself. "Liriath," Sanjay said, trying to replicate the sound. "I think its name is Liriath." First Contact, Liriath, tilted its crown in what might have been acknowledgement. It then pointed to the other aliens in stasis pods and made a series of urgent sounds, its skin darkening to deep blues and purples. "It's worried about the others," Maya interpreted. "Their vital signs are stable for now, but we need to understand more about their physiology before bringing them out of stasis safely." Elena nodded and turned to address her team. "We found survivors of an advanced species who have been drifting in space for nearly half a century. They need our help, and we're going to give it to them." She looked back at Liriath, who was watching her intently. "No one gets left behind in the darkness. Not on my watch." As the Celestia's crew worked tirelessly to save the alien survivors, none of them realized they had just changed the course of human history forever. Humanity's first contact wouldn't be remembered as a diplomatic meeting between equals or a tense standoff between potential adversaries. It would be remembered as a rescue, a moment when humans proved they would answer a call for help, even from the most distant and unknown corners of the universe. The rescue. 2 days had passed since the boarding of the alien vessel, and the medical bay of the Celestia hummed with activity. Dr. Maya Wong hadn't slept more than 3 hours at a stretch, her attention divided between the 7 alien survivors and the mountain of biological data she was trying to decipher. "Their biochemistry is carbon-based like ours, but that's where the similarities end," she explained to Commander Elena Reyes, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "Their cellular structure can change function based on need. It's like every cell in their body is a stem cell that can be reprogrammed." Elena watched through the observation window as Liriath, the first alien they had awakened, helped Maya's team tend to the others. The alien moved with a fluid grace despite having spent decades in stasis. Its skin rippled with shifting patterns of blue and gold as it communicated with both the humans and its own kind. "How's the translation matrix coming?" Elena asked. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor looked up from his console where he and Stella, the ship's AI, had been working non-stop on decoding the alien language. "We've made significant progress. Their communication combines vocalizations with chromatic signals from their skin. The syntax is complex, but Stella has identified recurring patterns." "Show me," Elena said. Sanjay activated a holographic display showing waveform analyses of the alien speech alongside color pattern recognition data. "We've compiled a basic lexicon, enough for rudimentary communication." Inside the medical bay, Liriath approached the window, its 4 eyes fixed on Elena. It placed one 6-fingered hand against the glass and made a series of musical sounds. The translation appeared on Alina's tablet. Gratitude. Rescue. Life debt. Alina placed her hand against the glass opposite Liriath's and spoke clearly. We're glad we found you in time. The translation device converted her words into the alien's musical language, accompanied by a visual display of color patterns. Liriath's skin rippled in response, a cascade of golden light that the translator interpreted as joy, understanding. Ask them what happened to their ship, Alina said to Sanjay. After the question was translated, Liriath's colors darkened dramatically to deep indigo and violet. Great sorrow, the scattering, death of many. Through the crude translation, they learned that Liriath's people, who called themselves the Lumine, had been on a scientific expedition studying stellar phenomena. Their ship, the Astral Harmony, had encountered what they called a tear in the fabric, some kind of spatial anomaly that had released a massive energy surge, crippling their vessel and killing most of the crew instantly. 17 entered sleep preservation, Liriath explained. Emergency signal activated. Many ships detected signal over cycles. All continued journey. They're saying other ships detected their distress call, but kept going. Sanjay translated, his voice tight with disbelief. For 47 years, Alina asked, horrified. Liriath's response came through the translator. Standard protocol for most spacefaring species. Resources valuable. Risk/reward calculation unfavorable for rescue of unknown beings. The implication stunned Alina. In the galactic community, ignoring distress calls was apparently normal policy. She couldn't imagine making such a cold calculation. That's not how we do things, she said firmly. Chief Engineer Darius Jackson had been dividing his time between the Celestia and the alien vessel, working to understand its technology. He entered the observation room, his expression both excited and concerned. Commander, I've been analyzing their power systems. It's nothing like our technology. They use crystalline matrices that channel energy in ways I've never seen before. He spread holographic schematics in the air between them. The good news is I think we can repair enough of their systems to get their ship functional again. The bad news is we'd need to cannibalize parts of our own backup systems to do it. Would it compromise the Celestia's ability to return home? Alina asked. Darius hesitated. Not critically, but it would reduce our safety margin. We'd be running without redundancies for several systems. Alina considered this. Protocol would dictate preserving the Celestia's systems at all costs. The ship and its crew were the priority. But looking at Liriath and the other survivors, she couldn't bring herself to make the calculation that so many others had apparently made before. Do what you need to do, she decided. We're not leaving them stranded again. Over the next several days, the rescue effort intensified. The remaining aliens were gradually awakened from stasis, each one greeted by Liriath and introduced to the humans who had saved them. The translation matrix improved with each new interaction, allowing for deeper communication. The Lumine, they learned, were from a distant star system they called Elysium, home to a civilization thousands of years more advanced than Earth's. They were explorers and scientists, not soldiers or conquerors. Their technology was built to work in harmony with biological systems rather than against them. Hence the organic design of their ship and their ability to integrate technology directly with their bodies. Alina was fascinated by their story, but also troubled by what it revealed about the wider galactic community. According to the Lumine, numerous advanced civilizations existed, loosely connected through a network of communication and trade. But they operated on principles of strict non-interference and self-preservation. Your actions are unusual, one of the Lumine, who called himself Thallus, told Alina through the translator. His skin shifted through patterns of curiosity and confusion. Risk for strangers without guarantee of return. Inefficient. Maybe by your standards, Alina replied. But for us, helping others isn't inefficient. It's essential. It's who we are. The Lumine discussed this among themselves, their skin colors changing rapidly in what the humans had come to recognize as intense debate. Meanwhile, on the alien vessel, Darius and his engineering team worked alongside several of the Luminae to restore critical systems. The two species developed an unlikely but effective collaboration, human ingenuity and improvisation paired with the Luminae's advanced knowledge. Their technology is incredible, Darius reported during a staff meeting. They don't just build machines, they grow them. The crystalline matrices are semi-organic, almost like coral, and they respond to the Luminae's bioenergetic signatures. Basically, they can control their tech with their minds. Can the ship be saved? Elena asked. Yes and no, Darius said. We can't restore it to full capacity. The damage is too extensive. But we've managed to repair their FTL drive and life support systems. It should be enough to get them to their nearest outpost. Abigail Foster, who had initially been the most skeptical about the rescue mission, had been studying the star charts provided by the Luminae. Based on their navigational data, their nearest outpost is approximately 6 months' journey from here, in the opposite direction from Earth. Then we'll escort them, Elena decided. Commander, Abigail protested, that would mean abandoning our own mission. We'd miss the rendezvous with Earth fleet by months. I'm aware of that, Elena said calmly. But I won't send them off alone, not with a damaged ship and systems we cobbled together from spare parts. The senior staff exchanged glances, clearly torn between their duty to their original mission and their commitment to the rescue they had begun. Before anyone could respond, the ship's alarm suddenly blared. Alert, Stella announced. Structural integrity failure detected on the Luminae vessel. Cascade system collapse in progress. They rushed to the bridge, where the view screen showed the alien ship. Energy discharges flickered across its hull as internal systems began to fail catastrophically. What happened? Elena demanded. A smile spread across Elena's face. I believe there is. 1 month later, the Celestia resumed its original mission, now with 7 new crew members whose knowledge and abilities had already proven invaluable. The ship's logs contained detailed accounts of first contact and formal requests for diplomatic relations between Earth and Elysium. Elena stood at the viewport of her quarters, watching the stars streak by. Larieth joined her, the alien's 4 eyes reflecting the starlight. In all our history, Larieth said quietly, no species has ever answered a distress call from an unknown civilization. You changed what we believed about the universe. Elena smiled. Maybe that's humanity's role in the galactic community, to remind everyone that the stars don't have to be cold and empty, that even in the vastness of space, compassion matters. A worthy purpose, Larieth agreed, its skin glowing with warm gold and azure blue, colors that the humans had come to recognize as friendship and hope. Together, they watched the stars, no longer strangers but allies, brought together not by politics or necessity, but by a simple choice to help those in need, a choice that would eventually reshape the relationships between all spacefaring civilizations. For in answering one distress call that everyone else had ignored, humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage, not with weapons or demands, but with open hands and ready hearts, proving that even in the coldest depths of space, warmth could be found in the most unexpected places. The power surge we used to restart their main drive created a feedback loop in their secondary systems, Darius explained, his fingers flying over his console. The damage was more extensive than we thought. The Luminae still aboard? Elena asked. 3 of them were helping with the repairs, Valeria reported from security. We've lost communication with them. Elena hit her comm badge. Shuttle bay, prepare for immediate launch. Darius, Valeria, you're with me. Commander, Abigail began to protest. Not now, Abigail. Elena cut her off. Stella, monitor the structural integrity of that vessel and keep me updated. If it reaches critical, we evacuate immediately. Minutes later, Elena's shuttle approached the failing alien ship. Energy discharges lashed the hull like lightning. making approach dangerous. There's a maintenance airlock on the port side that should still be intact, Darius said, guiding the shuttle through the electrical storm. They docked and entered the Lumine vessel to find emergency lighting bathing the corridors in pulsing crimson. The ship groaned around them, the sounds of metal stress echoing through the structure. "Life signs?" Elena asked. Valeria checked her scanner. 3 signatures near the central core, but there's interference from the energy discharges. They moved quickly through the deteriorating ship, dodging falling debris and sealing emergency bulkheads behind them. When they reached the central core, a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with failing light, they found the 3 luminae trapped behind a fallen support beam, energy discharges dancing around them. "We can't reach them through that," Valeria said, her scanner showing dangerous energy levels. "One touch, and we'd be electrocuted." Elena assessed the situation quickly. "Darius, can you shut down the power to this section?" "Not without destabilizing the whole ship," he replied grimly. "We might have minutes before total collapse." One of the trapped lumina, Thelus, locked eyes with Elena across the chamber. His skin flashed a pattern that the translator rendered as, "Accept fate. Save yourselves." Elena shook her head firmly. "Not happening." She turned to Darius. "What about our EMP device? Would it temporarily disrupt the energy discharge?" "It might," Darius said hesitantly, "but it would also knock out our suits and equipment for about 30 seconds. We'd be blind and vulnerable." 30 seconds is all we need," Elena decided. "On my mark, activate the EMP. Valeria and I will pull them out." The security officer looked like she wanted to protest, but nodded grimly. 3, 2, 1, mark. The EMP burst filled the chamber with a wave of invisible energy. The electrical discharges sputtered and died, and their suit systems went dark. In the sudden silence, Elena and Valeria rushed forward, muscles straining as they lifted the heavy beam. The luminae scrambled free, their skin glowing to provide light in the darkness. "Go!" Elena shouted, and they all sprinted back the way they had come, guided only by the bioluminescence of the aliens. They reached the shuttle just as their systems came back online. Through the viewport, they could see the Lumine ship beginning to break apart, energy bursts tearing through its beautiful spiral structure. "Get us out of here, now," Elena ordered, and Darius piloted the shuttle away as sections of the alien vessel began to explode behind them. They returned to the Celestia to find the other Luminae waiting anxiously in the shuttle bay. When they saw their rescued companions, their skin erupted in brilliant patterns of relief and joy, filling the bay with living light. Later, in the observation lounge, Elena met with Liriath and the other Luminae leaders. The aliens had been in deep discussion since the destruction of their vessel. "We have no ship now," Liriath said through the improved translator. "No way to return to our people." "We'll take you," Elena replied without hesitation. "However long it takes." Liriath's skin rippled with complex patterns. "Your mission would be abandoned. Your superiors displeased. Why would you do this?" Elena considered her answer carefully. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because I believe that when we eventually meet the wider galactic community, this is how humanity should be represented, not as conquerors or exploiters, but as helpers, as friends." The Luminae conferred among themselves, their skin colors shifting rapidly. Finally, Liriath turned back to Elena. "We have decided," the alien announced. "We will not ask you to abandon your mission. Instead, we request to join your crew, to travel with you to Earth." Elena blinked in surprise. "You want to come to Earth? Why?" "Your species is young," Liriath explained, "new to the stars. Yet you risk yourselves for strangers. This quality is rare and valuable. Perhaps there is much our peoples can learn from each other."